Hey everyone, so this is the Motorola Moto G Power. So this is a sub $100 phone here in the US. This one in particular is with Total by Verizon. So you get to, of course, it's a prepaid phone basically. So you pay for the plan and you get a decent phone for really cheap. I think it's normally somewhere around 70 bucks. So first, let's take a look around this thing. So you do have USB Type C, which is awesome. You do have a speaker down here. Some of these cheap phones have it on the back. This one has it down here, and it actually is decent. You have a mic. You do have your SIM slot there. This color is hard to show up on camera. You do have a headphone jack still, which is awesome. Another mic, power button, and volume rocker. It does actually have 3 different cameras on the back there, along with the flash. And then you can see this does have a really cool texture to it. And it is actually a texture, it's not just a look. You can hear that. It is just plastic. Of course, this is a pretty cheap phone. A lot of Motorola phones are plastic anyway. So it does have this texture. It does feel good in the hands. You do have a little bit of indent with the Motorola symbol. And then this is, I'll say track phone on them, even though this is a Total by Verizon. That one's a little bit weird. Of course, you do have a front-facing camera there as well. The display on this is a 6.5-inch HD Plus Max Vision display is what Motorola calls it. The cameras I could point out there, you have a triple 50 megapixel plus 2 megapixel plus 2 megapixel in the rear, then an 8 megapixel front-facing camera. I'll come back to these cameras. They sound really impressive, but they're not really that impressive. According to Motorola, you can get up to 3-day battery life, so this does have a good-sized battery in it. And again, this was normally $70, but I got mine on clearance, so I did not pay anywhere near that. This comes with 64 gigabytes of storage. It has a 2.3 gigahertz plus 1.8 gigahertz octa-core processor in it too, which a lot of these cheaper phones, you do not get an octa-core processor. You get like a quad-core processor, and you get like half that storage. So you only get like, usually only get around 32 gigabytes of storage. So all in all, this is probably the best cheap phone I have tested. I've only tested about 4 of them so far, but this thing is actually pretty good. There are some negatives. Let's go over the negatives first here. One negative could be, I mean, this is a big phone, but it's even bigger because you have this big chin down here, and the bezels all around are kind of big for today's standards. Not the worst thing, but it is something to note, as you can see, especially down here, big bezels. Another thing is the brightness isn't terrible, but it isn't fantastic either. So this is up all the way. It gets bright enough, but if you're in crazy bright sun or something like that, you might not be able to see it as well as you would like to. Let's go back to these cameras real fast here. So again, it does have the triple camera on the back. It actually does even have a macro camera, and it can get decently close to things. Let me see. Actually, you can get really close to things. And if your lighting is good, the cameras are okay. If your lighting is not good, they're not the best. So it does have night mode on it too, which is really cool for this cheap of a phone. But the cameras they're doable. Again, like a lot of things on this phone, they're doable, but they're not gonna like blow your mind away or anything like that. So they are okay. Like I took a picture of our cat, and it looks okay. It doesn't look terrible. It just doesn't look fantastic either. You know, it looks okay. And that's how all these cameras are. They're okay. They sound better than they really are. Being 50 megapixel, it sounds really amazing. They're okay. Let's talk a little bit about gaming here. Of course, this being a cheap phone, it's not going to be very good for gaming. So I just have Roblox in here. Roblox itself takes a little bit to load in. Then the games in Roblox take even longer to load in. I mean, this probably took me a minute and a half to load into Pet Simulator 99. Where, and of course, more expensive phones, it'll load in within 10 seconds or whatever. And when we're actually in, so we just have this on the lowest graphics settings too, I should say that. So graphics is just down all the way. When you're actually in the games, we can see there's a lot of frame rate drops here. And there should be a whole bunch of coins on this field. I don't know why I'm getting all this money all of a sudden. There should be a whole bunch of coins that you tap and then you get all these coins. But you can see right now it's getting overloaded with all this stuff that's happening on here. And this is, I wouldn't say it's the most graphical game in here, but it's not the least graphical game in here. I think it depends on what you're going to be playing in Roblox or whatever else games you're going to be playing. But the more graphically intensive games, you're just not going to be able to play very well. As you can see here, how badly this is lagging. We're probably at like, what, 5 frames per second. So for gaming, this is really not a good device. But again, none of these devices in this price range are going to be good for gaming. They're not meant for gaming, really. Let's talk a little bit about web browsing. We'll just go to Subaru.com here. It's pretty decent for web browsing. Again, you always have to remember, this is a very cheap phone. So you cannot expect it to load in super duper fast. But it loads in decently fast, at least for websites like Subaru.com here. See, the little video here is playing nicely. It's not stuttering, anything like that. It will switch through these different things here pretty well. Go ahead and click on one of these cars, or click on the Forester here. And again, you do have to, of course, wait for it to load in. I mean, if you're someone who's used to higher end phones, this is definitely not going to be very fast. But if you're someone who's used to a cheap phone like these are, like this is actually pretty decent. This is faster than other, like I said, faster than other phones I have tested in the same price range. So we can go ahead and, so websites like this, like I said, will load in pretty decently. It's definitely not, this is not what I call terrible loading in speeds. Now if you go to something a little bit heavier, like we'll go to bestbuy.com, which I always say is a bit of a heavier website, and usually cheaper devices, tablets, phones, whatever, do take a little bit more, it takes a bit longer to load in. So you load it into a website pretty fast there. And we'll go into actually shopping. And you see, this is where it's going to start slowing down. Like everything will just take a little bit longer to load in. Go ahead and we'll hit this Apple Pencil. I didn't realize those were $130 normally. I thought they were $100. So this is when we'll see this will take a little bit longer to load in. So there should be pictures up here. There we go. But the biggest thing is all this stuff will take a little bit to load in. And if you're used to phones of this price range, then this is probably going to be a little bit faster than other phones are going to be. Like I said, I mean, it's not terrible. It's actually pretty decent, especially considering the price tag of only $70 for this phone. Not bad. And again, this is a 6.5-inch display, so it is a nice big display. So we're going to Kindle here, going into a comic, Archie. See, I actually downloaded that really fast. First time I actually just downloaded the app a moment ago. So it loads into that, loads into Kindle really fast, and then it also loads into your book or your whatever you're going to be reading really fast. So of course you can have it this way, or we can turn it horizontal. It is a little bit awkward. For some reason it scrolls downward, but you can definitely see each thing, and of course you can zoom in and out. And being a comic book in this nice big HD plus display, it does look actually really good. The colors are pretty nice. You can see like the blacks are nice and black. The colors are pretty popping. Again, we do have this in brightness up all the way though. But for reading, I think this is pretty decent. Or reading comics. Again, we can go back. We can go into a book. Again, it will download the book pretty quick, as you saw there. And then again, being a big display, it's pretty nice and easy to read. And of course, it'll be quick reading through that, or scrolling through that. So I think for books, for reading, this is a nice tablet, nice phone. So all in all, I do think this is a nice phone, especially considering it is only at normal price, $70. I actually got mine on half off of that. I only spent $35 for it. And of course, you do have to pay for the plan if you want to use it for cellular data and stuff, you of course have to pay for the plan of some sort. There's different plans depending on which company you go with, which carrier you go with, of course. But I think all in all, this is a decent phone, again, considering the price tag. Again, the cameras are just okay. They're not fantastic, but they're not terrible. You're not really going to be able to game too well in this thing whatsoever. And that, of course, is on par with any other phone in this price range. But going against other phones in this price range, I do think this is a decently quick phone for, again, that price range. It loads in websites pretty quick. You can read books really easy and quick. Loading into them and downloading them. It's good for like YouTube because it's, again, nice big display and a HD plus display, so it is a good display for watching videos. It does only have one speaker that actually works when you're doing videos, but it does sound pretty good. All in all, I would recommend this phone if you are on a very tight budget for a phone. Of course, otherwise, if you can spend 5 times the amount, there are better phones out there, of course. You all let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good one. Goodbye.